Are there any circumstances where Labour could support this scheme?
Well, we've said it's not effective because clearly, based on the facts, it's not effective. I mean, the government...
Well, it hasn't started yet. What if it does start and then it is effective?
Well, they've spent hundreds of millions of pounds for what so far? Are they really going to get anybody to Rwanda? Time will tell. We've seen that Rishi Sunak, when he was Chancellor, apparently questioned the validity of this scheme himself. We've said, and Vivek Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary, said that we would use this money instead to fund a police unit to crack down on the criminal gangs that are causing this problem in the first place. That's really where you tackle the root causes of these issues, and we think the government should take that course of action.
Caroline made the point earlier that we spent an awful long time talking about Rwanda when nothing's actually happened. So I just want to talk to you a bit more widely about immigration. Is immigration too high?
So we've got a number of problems. There's different types of issues that are in play at the moment. At the kind of headline level, the fact is that the Conservatives have lost control of our borders and they've got a broken asylum system. That's why you're seeing all of these red lights on the dashboard for whether it's net migration and visa allocation or whether it's asylum seekers or whether it's channel crossings. All of it's not working and they need to get a grip of it. But the fact is that Conservative ministers are just arguing amongst themselves about these different policies between different factions and not getting the job done. I mean, take the legislation that's been put forward by the government. The last two bills they put forward to deal with channel crossings, the last one has had to be not implemented because they thought it'd make the situation worse. The one before that, which was Priti Patel all that time ago, has been part suspended because it wasn't working.
It's quite a cautious answer, I might say, to the question of is immigration too high? And I get it, because obviously you got into a bit of hot water, shall we say, for comments you made previously, saying that Labour would hope to cut immigration in its first term. You said the normal level is a couple of 100,000 a year, but it depends on the needs of the economy. I think it's pretty fair to say that Labour quickly distanced itself from the idea that there could be a target of 200,000. What happened? Did you get a call from the leader's office saying, what don't say that?
No, well, look, if you look at that interview with Laura Kuenssberg, I was very clear that I said there would be no caps or targets set under a Labour government because they don't.
But you did say that Labour could bring it down to normal levels, which you defined as a couple of 100,000.
I merely pointed to the facts, which is the evidence that that is, as definition, normal over the previous years, and that the numbers are too high. What we talked about in the interview in a little bit more depth was why is it that they're this high? Why is that abnormal compared to normal times?
Did you get a call from the leader's office?
Not the leader's office, no. The headline was...
Someone did give you
I got a couple of calls, but the headline wasn't. The headline was not reflective of our policy. And to be fair, in the interview, that's not quite what I'd said.
I want to talk to you about education. Bridget Phillipson today gave a speech about absences in schools. So what's the idea?
Well, we know that there's been a huge number of absences from schools, and anyone that has children at school knows that every single day matters. And this is off the back of children missing a lot of time at school through COVID. This has serious implications for them, but also more broadly for the economy when the time comes for those young people to enter the workforce. So more needs to be done to make sure that pupils are in school being educated, and where we can put more support in place to help schools and parents to make that the case, we will do so.
She was pretty scathing about Rishi Sunak as well. I just want to show you what she said about Rishi Sunak in this speech. She said this, a long-term recovery plan for our children sliced to ribbons by our now Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, because the private schools he knows, the schools he chooses, were always going to get by. So does Labour really think that people who send their children to private school don't care about education for others?
Oh, no, I don't think that's what Bridget was saying.
It sounds a bit like that's what she's saying.
No, I don't think so. What Bridget's referring to there is that private schools often have more means, more money in the bank, more abilities to put in additional support and catch-up lessons and various things.
What she's saying there, it seems to me, is that the recovery plan for our children was sliced by Rishi Sunak because the private schools were always going to get by.
Because...
The schools he knows, the private schools he knows.
The reference is to Rishi Sunak, I think, not to the private schools, because if you look, for example, at the COVID catch-up scheme, it's not been effective in helping pupils catch up for the lessons they missed during the pandemic.
The implication is pretty clear here, though, isn't it? That Rishi Sunak, because he didn't go to state school, because he doesn't send his children to state school, doesn't care about state schools.
Oh, yeah, no, I think Bridget is absolutely saying that Rishi Sunak doesn't care about state schools. What she's not saying is what you said to me just now, which is that private schools don't care about pupils in state schools. That's slightly different.
I said parents who send their children to private schools.
And I'm sure parents that send their kids to private schools care equally about parents that send their
Just
kids
not
to
Rishi
state
Sunak.
schools. Well, if Rishi Sunak cared about these things, he'd be putting more effort into trying to solve some of the problems.
She's pretty scathing about the Conservative track record on education more widely. How's it going in Wales, where Labour's in charge?
Well, Wales obviously get money from Westminster as part of the settlement, and there have been long-held challenges in the education system around kind of investment, and there's been obviously strikes and various things happening across the country. The fact is, we know that there's a problem here that was exacerbated by COVID that has not got better, and we know that it's not just for the benefit of pupils and parents, but for broadly the economy in the long run that we have to get this right. That's why Bridget made this speech today, which was welcomed by many people in the sector, just setting out why this mission is really important for us in the Labour Party. And if we are to win the election, the next general election, that voters and parents will know that this will be a top-tier priority for us.
OK.